A few interesting little nuggets this week as we approach the end of the week, and you were doing the equity in review, sort of a look back that you typically do. Small caps are now flashing oversold.
Yes, which is really interesting because small caps have actually had a very tough year. And in fact, small caps have erased all of their outperformance post-election. As we know, they were some of the primary beneficiaries of the Trump election in November and December. These stocks dramatically outperformed the S&P. They have now retraced all of that and are neck and neck with the S&P 500 since the election. This summer has been particularly difficult for small caps, and we have a very small percentage of stocks in the small cap index that are actually still rising, a very large percentage that are flashing oversold signals. So we're watching the small caps index as one sign of perhaps we can find some stabilization here. If that occurs, it should help the market going forward, the broad equity markets in the U.S.
And then the biotech bear market, on the other hand, seems to be coming to an end.
Yeah, this is interesting because what I think we've seen over the last several months is actually biotechs getting a little bit of flow from the equity investor. In the spring, we started to know biotechs is outperforming the S&P 500. Some of that is M&A speculation. Some of that is better news. But the biotechs have actually held up quite well over the summer, even though some of the rest of tech and some of the other former leaders have done pretty poorly.
All right, and then we want to move to your next chart because you always point out some very fascinating things that we have seen through the week, and it's 3317 for anybody looking at their charts in the Bloomberg library. Consumers troubled by rising food and gas prices. But here we can update it because we had the UMich preliminary data this morning, which showed a very happy consumer.
Yeah, it's very interesting. A lot of conflicting signals from the consumer space this week, and this is why we're focused on this. You teased at the beginning that you're going to talk about earnings. Most of the earnings out on the index over this week were consumer earnings. Most of them either disappointed or the companies guided down expectations. And what we've noticed is, particularly in the small cap space, the consumers here in the United States are very concerned about rising food and gas prices, or seem to be really struggling with this rise in food and gas prices. They're allocating more of their income toward these basics, and the result is a bit of struggle in the consumer space. Contrast that with generally decent retail sales numbers in July. The economic data seems to be pretty solid, but the earnings data has been pretty rough.